How to survive a nuclear attack. Let's get ready to read paragraphs 4 and 5. Today, we are going to talk about what Americans did during a crisis. You've already learned about duck and cover. Now we're going to learn about some other things people did during this crisis. A crisis is a dangerous event. To look at our text today, it says, "Others say they gave people an unnecessary fear of crisis." That's in paragraph 5. You can also see the word crisis at the bottom of the screen in 14 languages. Have you ever been in a crisis before? Say to yourself or write on your paper, "I was in a crisis when." Hint, coronavirus could count as a crisis. Our next word we're going to see today is atomic. Atomic is a term from science. It means the same thing as nuclear for our purposes. So today we read, cities set up public fallout centers where people could go to run away from atomic radiation. We'll learn about radiation in just a second. But before we move on, look at the bottom of the screen where the word atomic is in 12 other languages. So let's talk about radiation. So we know that atomic means nuclear. When we talk about radiation are energy waves that can be dangerous without protection. Now, waves doesn't mean waves like in an ocean. They're waves that you can't see in the air. Light travels in waves too. So in this case, they're waves that you cannot see in the air, and radiation can be very good. If you've ever had an X-ray, you have been exposed to radiation. But if you did get an X-ray, do you remember they may have covered you up with a very heavy vest? That is because radiation is dangerous. Now, the reason this was concerning is because when a nuclear bomb explodes, it emits radiation in the form of fallout. Look at this exploding nuclear missile. Do you see all that dust falling towards the ground? That is fallout. Fallout is dangerous dust that falls from the sky after a nuclear explosion. So all of these words are connected. If dangerous dust is falling from the sky, what do you think you would do? Would you stay outside? I sure hope not, because you're smarter than that. So, what you might want to do, let's see on the next page. If you want to survive, you might want to go inside when there's nuclear fallout. When we say survive means continue to live despite danger. So the radiation from fallout, if there is an atomic bomb, is dangerous. So if you want to continue to live or survive, you might want to go inside. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But let's look at our quote today. They released informational pamphlets that explained the duck and cover position and other strategies to survive a nuclear attack. Have you ever had to do something to survive? Think about that for a second. And then you can write down, I had to blank to survive. Now, if something scary is about to happen, you might want to have a plan. Another word for plan is a strategy. So, they're pretty much the same word, but when we say strategy, we mean a plan of action to achieve something. So it's not just a plan to have a plan. It's because you want something to happen. So, we read that there were various other strategies to survive a nuclear attack. So various plans people came up with so they could survive, so they would not die. What strategies are you going to use to succeed in 6th grade? I want you to take a second, pause the video if you need to, and write down your plan, your strategy to succeed in 6th grade. Because in 2 days, you're going to be a 6th grader. So it's a good idea to make a plan and have a strategy to succeed in 6th grade. Of course, people who were afraid of nuclear fallout and the radiation in the fallout, they found their information a little bit differently than you did when you made your list. You see, people gave out pamphlets. Before the internet, pamphlets were a pretty good way to share information, to share knowledge. A pamphlet is a piece of paper that's folded and has information. So people gave out pieces of paper, like you can see on the left. Those are real ones from this time, with information on things you could do to avoid dying during a nuclear attack. One of those things you could do is seek shelter. Shelter is a place that can keep you safe from harm. Your house is a shelter. If it were to start to storm right now, you would be safe inside because you have a roof and walls that keep you safe from rain and wind. So, shelter is basically any place that can keep you safe from harm. But if things are falling from the sky, you might want to go underground, right? All that radiation. So that's why people built shelters underground. All right, that's all of our vocabulary for today. Let's get ready to read.